In today's world, we got to be ready for anything. And that reminds me of a story. I was heading to work a few years ago, and I was going to oversee a press conference. It was a big deal on cybersecurity. And it was raining when I was on the road, but I didn't think a thing of it. And I'm from California, obviously. And so I was like, by my accent. But anyways, I'm driving on the 101 North, and all of a sudden it starts to rain. I can't see, it's like, oh my gosh, it's coming down really hard. And then I could see like water on the freeway. And as I was approaching Palo Alto, I thought, oh my gosh, like the freeway is flooding. Like I had no frame of reference for this. And at the time, I was a few weeks pregnant with my daughter, and I just got a really panicked, scared feeling. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, fortunately, the highway patrol had a detour, and it took a couple hours to take side streets, and I made it to work in time. But back then, that was just a really rare occurrence. And now, sadly, extreme weather is extreme weather and extreme weather events are the norm. So just last month, I was meeting with my team in Spokane, Washington, when we were caught up in this epic hailstorm that seemed to come out of nowhere. Look at the size of that hail. You could practically drive it off a tee. So again, dealing with extreme weather is just one of the many things we're going to be talking today. It's one of the use cases that was called out in our survey for this year's resourcefulness report. So last year we talked about climate disruption and our responses to it and how it impacted grid reliability and resilience. This year we looked at several more challenges, but through a different lens, and that's the need for real-time data analytics. There's never been a better time to focus on this topic. More than 9 out of 10 utility executives we surveyed view real-time data analytics as very or extremely important. And it's little wonder why, because all of you are just facing disruption on a historic scale. Fortunately, insights, as Brian talked about and Tom talked about, can provide us numerous possibilities for improvements, efficiencies, and new products and services. The report consolidates perceptions of consumers and utilities on a variety of topics to the use of data, as well as consumer intention regarding topics such as personalized services, data privacy, cybersecurity, and views on sustainability. We heard from 600 consumers and 600 utility executives in 5 different countries. So today, my talk is going to focus on what are the main use cases for real-time analytics, what are some of the barriers that we're facing, where utilities and consumers align on the most important use of analytics, and some ideas of the things your organization can do. Tom talked a lot about all the data out there, but here's a little bit more facts on that. So we know our machines are talking to each other. In fact, machine-to-machine connections are going to represent half of all global device connections by 2023. That amounts to about 14.7 billion devices sending and receiving data all day, every day. But of that 1.9 billion, that's going to be low voltage, wide area connections such as smart meters and streetlights. And that is nearly a 6-time increase since 2018. So as an industry, we've come a long way in a short amount of time. In 2011, something big was happening in our industry. Does anybody know what it was? The first smart meters with advanced metering infrastructure were deployed. I remember getting my notice 2011. That was only 10 years ago. When was the first production Tesla delivered? Anyone want to take a guess? Okay, it was about 2009, not that long ago. So fast forward to today. We've got carbon mandates. In California, we just announced a plan that required 100% of all new car sales be zero emission by 2035. And then 17 states with vehicle emission standards that are tied to rules established in California are going to have to also face big decisions. 2035 is around the corner. I'm thinking, okay, earlier this month in Northern Cal, we had an historic heat wave. We had emergency alerts sent out every day, and for all consumers. And I remember getting these texts and emails saying, don't charge your EV from 4 to 9. Do not run any appliances from 4 to 9. And all I can think about is, how is all this going to work? So we have an even more amount of work to do in a compressed time frame. We got to move faster. So let's take a look at some of the key use cases where analytics plays a key role. And I think Brian talked a lot about these. Operating costs are rising. Utilities are looking to drive efficiencies wherever they can, as well as driving new revenue streams and developing the plans to pursue them. Integrating DERs complicates delivery and load management, but it also leaves utilities a way to how to monetize this movement to a cleaner, greener future. The digital age has conditioned consumers to expect insights on their behaviors, and this opens the door to how we can all get there. As I talked about, the extreme, devastating weather just continues to be disruptive, and urban areas around the world are growing rapidly, making smart city services like traffic management and air quality monitoring critical to ensuring cities of the future are livable. Air quality is a big deal. Billions of people breathe unhealthy air. I saw this information from the World Health Organization that 99% of the entire global population breathes air that exceeds the WHO air quality limits and threatens their health. So let's talk about using analytics and the top current uses for data analytics versus the most important use of them. So looking at this a little deeper, here's what utilities said. New revenue streams, operational efficiencies, and integrating renewables were at the top. But the same three things applied to what utilities viewed as the most important use, followed by personalized insights for customers, ensuring resiliency from extreme weather, and enabling smart city services. Now let's look at how consumers weigh in with the most important use for analytics. And you're going to see some similarities. And this is for all utilities, in the 5 countries and versus just the US, because there are little differences. So number one, across the board, you'll see it's improving efficiencies. For utilities, it's with an operations point of view, but for consumers, it's in the hope of lowering bills. Number 3 in the study was integrating renewables and promoting sustainability for all segments. But number 2 is where it gets interesting. For consumers, they want utilities to generate more personal insights, such as energy usage by appliance, getting real-time awareness of energy usage and any potential anomalies, such as water leaks. And there might be a real opportunity here, because our research indicated that more than half of the consumers globally would pay between 1% to 7% more for those personalized services. So what's getting in the way? What are the barriers? In the US, it was difficulty prioritizing technology. There's just a lot of choices. Internal culture and resistance to change. And then the third was kind of tied, delayed impacts due to COVID, also tied with the labor skill shortage, which is very, very real. I just read in Barron's that Americans over the age of 55 will take roughly half of all new jobs created in the next decade as the US population ages and more people postpone retirement. And just last night, I was talking to some folks at our First Timers reception, and they were saying, we need more training. Your training was great. We need online training. And I said, well, why? And they go, because people took those retirement packages during COVID and they left, and there was no transition. So it seems like a good business opportunity. Globally, the concern and the biggest barrier was the difference was security and data privacy. So very interesting. So again, these barriers exist. We're going to be covering these topics in a number of sessions during the event and during our big picture session. So we've got a big picture session tomorrow at 11:30 that deals with preparing for cyber threats in a digital world. And we have a big picture session today at 3:30 that talks about what you can do with all this AMI data. Here are the use cases I highlighted earlier, but with more examples of what you can do with insights from data analytics. So I'll give you another couple seconds to take a look at that. I'm not going to read everything here. I just want to call out a couple of examples. Water leak detection jumps from last place priority to second place in 5 years. That's a big deal, especially I think with so many places. We didn't really cover drought, but the drought, and look what's happening in Lake Mead, and they're finding people that had died in the lake. So a big deal. And then under personalized insights, I see tons of potential here, but I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be great the next time it's hailing golf balls, I can get a text from my utility saying, heads up, here's what you need to do to keep your family and your property safe. So the good news is that data insights can help the way for you to get ahead of the challenges, but also empower your customers. Right? We want to reduce the bills, we want to feel like we're in command as a consumer, right? Of whatever's happening to us, whether it's a power outage, our energy bill, conservation, leak detection. So it's, so much goodness can come from this. But the bottom line is to meet the goals that we set to continue to provide safe, reliable service and be good stewards of the world's energy and water resources, that the intelligence we glean from real-time analytics will open the door for more possibilities for resource management. And that is just a sampling of what you can get in this really comprehensive report. So be sure to go to itron.com/resourcefulness to download a copy and learn more. Thank you.